You can't go out playing golf having fun.
Fun. Senor, you've obviously never played Wingfoot.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
You've got to be kidding me, Vegas, on Monday night. There's my picks for this week. Now, if you want next week's picks, I can give you those by Friday.
What's going on, sports fans? Can you believe it? Look who is next to us. The Podfather, now I will refer to him as, Greg Hoyle. He hasn't been getting a lot of sleep. He's been doing middle-of-the-night feedings and toiling over the numbers for this week's championship games. Over-under on the number of diapers you've changed so far was set at 4. 4 was the over-under.
Wow. Yeah, we're way over.
Way over. You know, I like to hear that you're pulling some weight over there. How is fatherhood treating you so far?
Good. I said I'm going to develop a swaddling team of master swaddlers to be aired on ESPN 8 The Ocho. Maybe not this coming spring, but the following.
Listen, anybody who has worked in a Mexican restaurant and has some burrito wrapping skills, sign that guy up for the swaddling masters because it's essentially the same thing.
They say you just can't wrap them too tight, though. It's got to be tight, but not too tight.
Of course, just like the burrito, man. It's the same thing.
Right? It's got to be just right.
I love it. Well,
it's been great. It was a much-needed hiatus, right? 1 week hiatus. But good to be back.
I'm very thankful to the new mama over there for sharing you with us for a little while here today. With that, we need to be considerate of her time, and so we will get right to it. We've got just 2 games this week, Greg. That's it. We're down to the final 4. Tom Brady wearing Cinderella's slipper here as the only underdog to be in this final round of 4. We've got chalk otherwise. So what are your thoughts on the Bucs and their performance coming off that win against New Orleans, which I know you got to peek in on at least?
Mm-hmm. Go figure. I'm always really smitten on Tom Brady, and he really snake bit me last week there. All those turnovers. It wasn't so much Tom snake biting me as them just giving that game away. But you know me, I'm always goo over some Tom Brady, but. You know, I've been off of him this year, and he's hurt me a little bit. But yeah, we move on.
So what do you like? What do you think? We've got him going up against Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, you know we say that because the quarterback matchup. They're not playing each other though. It's that offense of the Buccaneers, which will be without Antonio Brown for this one. Not that he's contributed all that much to this offense. Going up against that defense, which looked pretty good for the Packers and has looked pretty good as of late, but they haven't faced this level of competition from the offensive side of the ball. Right now, the Packers are 3.5-point favorites in this one. Lined open, I believe, at 4, went down to 3 for a second. We're settling in here at 3.5. What's your gut say?
Gut for the most part is Packers have been pretty good front runners, and I do like just that team in general. I think we were talking beforehand, and even in a couple of the games that I took them, they're just so efficient on offense, and really their negatives have been in the second half. We're really just letting teams back in it, right, instead of them winning games. And I think last week was another one. It was like, hey, are they going to win by 14 here, or are they going to let up a garbage time touchdown because nobody cares, and that game's going to finish, in a push type situation. They ended up holding on, but Rodgers looks so good, and I think just the effortless nature in which he's doing it is really what's encouraging to me, especially if you play the first half, you go -2.5, and if the Packers get the ball, that'd be a lovely situation, right? So from that side of things, my instincts are saying let's run the first half -2.5. It was 3 earlier on for the game, earlier on today, and now it's spiked up to 3.5. That can't be because of Antonio Brown. Could it be? Like, is that the reason for the move, or is is money pushing that the other way.
I mean, I wouldn't move a line a half point for Antonio Brown this season, at the least the way he's been playing. But when you think about the depth of the secondary, sometimes it's so funny in the playoffs the way one guy kind of has an impact on the game. I looked at what Cameron Brate did. He had a solid game against the Saints, which was, obviously a little bit unexpected there, given all the stars that they have, and obviously Rob Gronkowski in that relationship. But it was very interesting to see the way that the guys stand out. And when you look at the Packers secondary, I mean, they are top heavy, right? I think they have the number 1 ranked cornerback according to DVOA on their team. After that, there's a little bit of a fall off there, and their linebackers aren't great in coverage, so you'll look for those tight ends to be a big impact as well as they're in Green Bay. But the one thing, Greg, that always, no fans, we know that. Well, limited fans, I guess. But Lambeau Field, 20 degrees at kickoff, man. I think about some of these games that we've seen there. I think back to the Brett Favre days, where you see all of the smoke. I think of Madden coming out of the players' mouths. I love that. When the offensive and defensive lines are lined up against each other. I think it's not the best thing, given the pandemic world that we're living in, to actually see that breath going back and forth across the line of scrimmage. But, man, there is something about playing on the frozen tundra up there. And if you haven't been, I say for all football fans, that is like a mecca that you got to check out. It is awe-inspiring just to go to Lambeau Field.
Like a Wrigley Field type of situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are certain ballparks that just exude that history. I mean, it's like going to Italy and looking at the art, over there, going into the Sistine Chapel or going into the Pantheon or the Parthenon and all of those buildings over there. I mean, it takes your breath away, and you just feel like you're in the presence of greatness, one of the greatest places that you can be in for the sport of football. And it's so crazy because that is just dropped down. It looks like an alien spaceship came and put a football stadium right in the middle of a residential neighborhood, and everybody was like, this is awesome, let's go. We now worship the cheesehead. So it's something awesome over there. And Rodgers has said it, right? He said even if there weren't going to be fans, getting that home field advantage was still important to them. And I don't think it could have played out any better than facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Going from the warmest climate pretty much that you could be going into 20 degrees. I've seen a couple times where it just doesn't feel like guys are raising their arms as well for some of these passes. It takes them an extra split second to extend for some of these balls when it's cold out there, and it makes the difference in a big play or two. But when it comes to the actual numbers of this game, right, we have seen this Tom Brady offense it's been clicking on all cylinders. They've been averaging better than 36 points a game, I think, the last couple of weeks. They did it again, putting up some big numbers against the Saints, a team that beat them twice during the regular season. But the big difference in that game was the turnovers for me. And I look at it, and I don't see any way that Aaron Rodgers is, one, turning the ball over, and two, not pushing it downfield. Clearly, Drew Brees wasn't able to extend the field on this one. When they wanted to throw deep, they brought in Jameis Winston. That's not going to be the case with Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's going to be able to exploit this defense a little bit more than that limited Saints offense was, obviously, against the Buccaneers. So what do you think, the 3.5, which way are you leaning on this one?
Would definitely, if you're going with the game, I'd buy it down to 3. Definitely on the Packers, right? So, I mean, that weather's a big deal. I was just, when you were talking, looking it up. So now it's up to about 70% chance of snow, by the way, for Sunday. And then the second thing is that's kind of funny is it's 70, 75 down in Tampa right now, right? So they're gonna go from that area and then that Saints game, right? That was in a dome,
right? You're talking that's 50 degrees. 50 degrees more. It's more than 50 degrees you're looking at.
Which Brady's going to be used to, and I think that's the most important thing, right? Like, hey, is your quarterback used to it, right? But he was used to that in a home environment, right? So it's not Gillette, right? It's not going to be, playing a home game with the rest of your guys who are seasoned and used to playing those games. So kind of a lack of that pressure cooker type of situation, a lack of cold experience. I think it's Green Bay or pass, right? That's kind of my take for it. And because Green Bay is such a hard charging first half team, that's why I'm going with the first half 2.5. The 3.5 doesn't really scare me away. So that's just what I would do.
I look at this one, and one thing that's interesting to me is obviously these two teams played earlier this season. Green Bay jumped out to a 10-point lead in that game, and then I believe Aaron Rodgers threw a pick six in that one, and then they started to turn the ball over. The Green Bay Packers did, and Tampa Bay, I think, ended up running away with that one. I don't think the Packers scored another point in that game. 38-10, was that the final in that one, Greg? Do you know?
I just checked it out. 38-10, right? Yeah, the 38-yard pick six, and then just team seemed disinterested thereafter. Like it was really odd. You wouldn't expect a bunch of veteran team like that to play dead after that because they were still up at that point. But it was that swung hard.
Yeah, and so look, I look at it and you think that Tampa Bay is a blitzing defense, I guess, is their reputation, but they haven't blitzed nearly as much the second half of the season. They have been, I give credit to, Todd Bowles down there and what he's been able to do with that defense, because I don't think they get enough of the credit for how well that they have played this season. Obviously, number one against the run, and near the top of the league over there, and that's despite playing those Saints games where they did get blown out. So I think that's really interesting when you look at that. But I also don't think that Green Bay's defense gets enough credit, man. Those Smith brothers are able to put pressure on the quarterback, and when they had to have it against the Rams last week, they shut it down. Right? They absolutely shut the Rams down. They sacked Goff, I think, 2 or 3 times on that drive. And I think in this game, that's what it comes down to. It's one of those situations where are you going to make that play on the drive that you need to? And I think in this case, in Green Bay, with Aaron Rodgers, all the things. You said it. Brady didn't really beat the Saints. And when you watch that game, he didn't make any unbelievable throws. That Scotty Miller came up big on a couple of those catches for him there. I know you're a big Scotty Miller fan. So
he's a spunky guy.
Yeah, you got and he made those plays when they needed him. And he's obviously going to be, I think, a little bit more of the offense. And I look for them to try to get him the ball because with no Antonio Brown, I think he'll be on the field a lot more. So we'll see what happens in this one. But I am with you. I think that Green Bay is the play. I know that 3.5 number of people are a little bit afraid. But, God, they have been so efficient on offense. And I think they are so balanced between the run and the pass that I think that's going to be the difference in this one. I don't think that when you look at the offenses that Tampa Bay has played, I think they have been limited so far these playoffs, whether you're talking about Washington or you're talking about a banged up, clearly Drew Brees, who hasn't been the same quarterback, and is now going to retire. I think, ultimately, that's the difference in this one, is you're facing Aaron Rodgers, and they have had the running game and the passing game going, and Devontae Adams looks like he can get open on anybody anytime he wants, and I love that. One thing I noticed about that, so I actually had a prop bet. I thought that with Jalen Ramsey, they were going to try and take away Devontae Adams in that game. And they did, and I was going back and forth actually between should I take the under in yards or should I take the under in catches, and they were both like right around his season average. 6.5 catches I think was the number. Some had 7 out there. The Packers made it a point to get him the ball any way they could, and they were flinging it to him out of the backfield. They were getting him in short passes. They did stretch the field. They made sure the ball ended up in his hands, which I thought was a great play on the part of Green Bay and that coaching staff there. Just because he's one of your best players, you need to get the ball in his hands. He ended up finishing under in the total number of yards over in catches, but I just like the effort to get the ball in his hands because then it gets more attention when he is going out and running those routes. Go ahead.
So you referenced that, and I think I can't tell if it was live or not live. Reality and non-reality is a little off right now, but can't tell if time is going slow or fast. But you're indicating something that really irked me and you said that Sean Payton, right? Because we were talking about Sean Payton in the playoffs and totally ignoring his track record in that. Why in the world is a Ty Montgomery running the ball when you've got Alvin Kamara, right? So, like, I'm just sitting there cursing the screen while watching that game. Like, get the ball to your players. And I think the point that you're making, because Michael Thomas didn't get involved in the offense either, is, yeah, you get your best player involved in the game, and that's good coaching versus poor coaching where you know that they're going to scheme to take your guy away.
Right.
So you got to scheme to get your guy the ball regardless, right? So if it's bubble screen, end around, whatever you got to do, don't let them dictate, right? Just keep feeding it.
Yep.
So I like that. I think that's, young coach doing a good job of saying, hey, we're going to go to this guy, right? They know that we're going to go to this guy and we're still going to beat him.
So looking at this game right now, the total is over under 51.5. Man, last week I was 3-1 picking teams. I was 1-3 picking totals. So finished 500. I made it mandatory to pick both last week because I knew we had to get some action in with only 4 games on the slate. This week in this game, I like the under. I like the under again in this game, 51.5. Man, it's a lot of points. I think that both of these defenses are good enough, and I think that even if Green Bay, I think, is the offense that you have to worry about putting up more points because they're obviously more efficient in everything that they've done, and they've got the. They're the favorites, right? They're supposed to put up more points. I think that their defense is going to be able to limit Tom Brady. I don't think they can put up enough points, Green Bay can, to hit this high number. And I also see a situation where, they're just out to win this game. And that's the most important thing to them. I really think they can salt it away with their running game if it comes down to it. And for that reason, I think 51 is just too many points. Shoot, maybe it comes out on the number, 27-24, the final score. I'll take the hook, going under 51.5.
Yeah, I got no take on the over-under, but I guess the implied team totals are what, 27-24?
27.5 to 24, yeah.
Do you see any value? Because you were mentioning props, right, on the team to score first. You got to lay 145 to pick Green Bay in that circumstance, right? So that might be something else that I look at, right? And quite frankly, right, if you're talking about it and you think that Green Bay is going to be the front runner there and you're concerned about, you're thinking the under team totals, right? So why not go like Tampa team total under if you think that that's the value there?
I do like that. What's that? Look up that number for me. What's
I don't have it right now. I just did the math as far as what it should be.
Yeah.
Right. So just say you get it, sub 24. Or I'm sorry, say you get a 24.5, right? You got to jump on that.
Well, there's no. I don't see a way you're getting it at 24.5.
But even 24 is a key number. That's a nice number that you would want to play on.
I actually love that. And again, the cold, I think that's going to play a big role. I think that's going to play a big role in a game like this. All right, let's go now to the AFC here, where we've got chalk. The Buffalo Bills winning an absolute defensive slobber knocker. I don't know if you can call it that because the wind was just blowing the ball all around over there. I think they had 4 missed field goals in that game.
Were you aware of this win before before handicapping?
No, I wasn't aware of the wind on the Thursday or when I picked the game that was going to be a possibility there.
Your weather guy wasn't on.
It's a shame. It was not, and I will tell you that definitely impacted my my choices in the Chiefs game the next day because they were getting some wind over there in Kansas City. Those flags at the top of the goalpost didn't seem to be moving at all. But when I was looking up the forecast, they were talking about 15-mile-per-hour winds, and so I'm not too big a fan right now of the weather gods, if you will, or the meteorologists that are out there. But this one is interesting. Go ahead.
love Al Michaels' definition of the flags are starch.
Yes.
That's just gold.
Oh man.
Just gold.
He has a way with words.
Mm-hmm.
It's no double doink, but
No.
but then again, what is? So anyway, this week we got the Chiefs as 3-point favorites against the Buffalo Bills. These two teams met earlier this year. Game was very interesting, went way under the total that they were looking at. I think in that game, Buffalo was coming off some really difficult scheduling because they had their game moved with, I believe it was Tennessee, and so they were in a really bad spot when it came to scheduling against the Chiefs. And I honestly, it showed in that one. The Chiefs here, man, first of all, I got to say, Andy Reid has the biggest stones of any coach I've ever seen in the NFL. On 4th and 1 with Chad Henne at quarterback, he's choosing to throw the ball to ice the game. And all you can do is say hats off to him on that one. Cuckoo Cuckoo. That's what I say to that. To Andy Reid.
Which, by the way, love it, right? You know, play to get the win. Don't even screw around, right?
Right.
But yeah, some stones there with the backup quarterback there. That's pretty wild stuff.
And Chad
They
Henne
just run the same damn play over and over again. They're just going back and they're like, yeah, they've iced like 4 games this way.
Yep. And Chad Henne running for about 20 yards, coming up just short of the first down to even give them a shot to go for it there, definitely was impressive. That offense looked like it was absolutely clicking. I think they scored on 4 consecutive drives in the first half with Mahomes at QB. They didn't punt, but they didn't punch it into the end zone. And I want to know how concerning for you is that, especially when now you're going up against a Bills team. That let's not forget that game. We had Jarvis Landry. Was it Jarvis Landry or Donovan Peoples-Jones? I forget, who was going in for the touchdown. Gets hit, fumbled out of the back of the end zone, which is one of those situations where it becomes a touchback. That game could have been a lot different going in there, and then all of a sudden they're playing for their playoff lives. As it is, it was a 1-possession game. So I'm curious, what's your takeaway from that game overall? Just looking at the Chiefs,
19-6 instead of 16-13, right? Which, by the way, my take on that is the worst rule. Maybe not the worst rule in football because I'm not thinking about it, but I legitimately brought that up the night before. I was sitting there with Chris's dad the night before talking about how I really hate the punishment doesn't seem to fit the crime, right? Where everywhere else you fumble the ball, it goes out of bounds. You just get you get the ball out of bounds. You can't advance it or whatever. Here, you lose the possession, and then it happens the next game that we watch. And I was like, oh my gosh, it happened. We were just talking about it, and it happened. So you're right, though. Like they even mounted the comeback there, even despite that play. That was an unfortunate play. It was a fun game to watch. But Kansas City, they've won the games, right? 14-2, right? Like, so you really can't poke holes because just like the opener, right? It doesn't really matter. They're not aligned with our, against the spread bets or anything like that.
Why the heck not?
Yeah. I hate when I'm misaligned, and I know I'm misaligned. I'm like, they could really go for 2 here and get me out of this push.
Well, you know what I said? Wait. I said that during the Tampa Bay and the Saints game because Tampa Bay had the ball down there and they were up 3. And I wanted them to score a touchdown. And my wife is like, why are you rooting for them to score a touchdown? And I said, because if they're down 10, then we're both playing for overtime and our goals are aligned. It's all about having your goals aligned with the Saints. Otherwise, they get a touchdown, they win by a point. That doesn't help me.
Why do you want the team that you've selected to go by down even more? I'm like, they got to play with their hair on fire.
It's advanced math. It's advanced football gambling math.
Yeah, so and just go, like the way I think of it is I think that foot injury there, like we don't know how bad that foot injury was, but you could tell it was really bothering Mahomes throughout the game anyway, right? So you got the foot injury, you got the concussion, right? to me, I just feel like Buffalo's been playing like the best team in football for the past 10 weeks. And I'm not saying that Kansas City's not fantastic, right? But like, let's just say Patrick Mahomes is a little off because of his foot or his head or a combination of both. Then I've got the best team in football that's been playing like the best team in football. Granted, going on the road, they didn't seem to be. It was 16-degree winds, and it's supposed to be high winds, by the way, for this game as well. Just as a little bit heads up, that's why I thought the 15 plays in, they hadn't called a run.
Right.
Like the Bills hadn't called a run with all that wind. I was blown away.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, that was by mistake. Delirium, just by chance there. But I couldn't believe it, and I was immediately saying I don't want this guy as the head coach in Philly because, quite frankly, I'm losing my mind with them not running the ball anyway. And then they're showing, this guy hasn't even run the ball yet. It's 15 plays in, like,
right.
And that's the script, I guess. So I'm not super concerned about the wind as far as Buffalo because they just played in the wind. Right?
But it's got to concern you a little bit because they weren't able to push the ball down the field. Let's be honest. I mean, they won, 17-3 was the final score, but they scored 10 points, right? Because that pick six from their own goal line as the Ravens were going in there. Interestingly enough, I think that was the first red zone interception of Lamar Jackson's career, which was kind of shocking to me. But anyway, so they only put up effectively 10 points, and the whole team has to be in on the game plan. But that's going to affect – here's my question for you. If that's the case, right, let's say we have the same win conditions, who does that impact more in the Buffalo-Baltimore game first? Who does that benefit more?
The win? You should have benefited Baltimore.
Right. And because they're a running team. Right. So even if it did benefit them, they were able to overcome it, right? Their defense was able to come. So now you're looking at Kansas City. In Kansas City and Buffalo, if it's a win game, who does that benefit more?
It's more of a toss-up.
Right.
I would say kind of toss-up.
I think that it's not, neither of these teams are poised to go off the run first and build off that. And I honestly think that it hurts Kansas City more because Tyreek Hill becomes less of a deep threat. And when you look at the receivers that they have in Buffalo, Stephon Diggs runs all the routes, right? The biggest threat for Tyreek Hill, if I don't have to worry about him as much going deep because a gust of wind's going to blow the ball one way or the other, then maybe it's a little bit, they miss one throw. It's either short or long because the wind is taking it. And I saw a couple throws that were overthrown or underthrown because of that wind. In Buffalo, I think that could play itself out this week as well.
Yeah, those throws they were panning to on the right-hand side that it was like they had dudes wide open and both Allen and Lamar missed them. They missed them big.
Yeah. I feel bad for Justin Tucker.
Reason.
Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals in there. Oh, off the post, I think, right?
Yeah, don't feel bad for him. He's a quality kicker. He'll be fine.
And a fantastic opera singer, so.
So all of the things that you're mentioning, to me, I'm looking at the under in this game. So that's to me, I think they're both effective. They both can't do what they want to do at the highest level. And quite frankly, I think Buffalo's playing much better defense than they were earlier on in the year. So they're flying around. So you actually have an actual quarterback that you're playing against. That's right. I'm not calling Lamar Jackson an actual quarterback. He's a running back that throws. So you're gonna have somebody you actually have to respect and defend against the pass. So that's difficult, but I like the under. I'd go under that. 54 is way too high to me.
I agree. I think that's a crazy price right now in a championship game. Especially, again, I want to put the caveat there, especially if the wind conditions are what they're expected to be right now. because if it is hitting 20 miles per hour, everything changes. That being said, I think this matchup is going to be very interesting, and you pointed out the key point is how healthy is Patrick Mahomes. We know he cleared concussion protocol. It's going to be very interesting to see if he is able to go at 100%, because I think they're going to bring pressure on him if he can't move, because every time he took off, he looked like he was hobbling out there. He had quite a gait, and that was before he got hit and got concussed. So I'm with you on that. I think so with that too, you might want to look at the under, if it's very windy, under longest pass completion for both of these quarterbacks. That I think is a nice prop bet to check out. Also, you might want to look at those field goal stats on under longest field goal made, which is probably around 45 and a half, 46, something like that. And maybe total field goals, 3.5. If the wind is doing that. I see you pondering that as you're...
Yeah, I'm looking. My stuff won't come up until closer to Sunday. That's just something about my props will come up more game day. But even maybe even under, if it's not the quantity of the field goals, maybe the longest field goal.
Right. That's what I led with. Yeah. 40. It'll be probably 45, 46, somewhere in there.
Oh, right. Okay. My bad. I missed that. I just heard the second one. Yeah. So those are good. I definitely think those are something to look into, because the kicking game was certainly we had Justin Tucker getting affected by the conditions, but I think you got to wait until Sunday morning to get a better idea of what the actual conditions are.
Right.
Just like if it's snowing, right? I can't help but think, right, if it's actually snowing up in Green Bay again. Remember that Tennessee game? Right? Nobody was really playing.
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee was playing pretty darn good. And what was it? The cleats?
Yep.
They couldn't get the right cleats and they couldn't get the right traction. So they just got smoked. So I think those are the two things to look for. If you're getting snow, then that's just compounding the issues that are already there for Tampa. And if the wind is getting up in the high teens, well, then you can really load up on the 54.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. One other thing, obviously, and this,
I probably will sprinkle on the Bills money line, by the way.
So yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I'm going to go with the Bills on this one, and the main reason here, the Chiefs are 1-9-1 now
Against the spread.
Against the spread, going back the last 11 weeks, the worst in there. They're still playing, but I'm gonna go. I'll take the 3 points with the Bills. Ultimately, I think they win this one outright because Patrick Mahomes is not 100%, and I think that ultimately is the difference in the game. I remember when they beat Tennessee. Remember that run that Mahomes had? He's not going to be doing that this week,
right?
In last year's AFC Championship game.
You wouldn't think so.
No,
that was. Dude, that hit was funky too, right?
It didn't look.
It looked bad in real time, but then when they replayed it, you were like, "Well, wait, what really happened there?" It looked like it kind of landed on the guy's hand,
yeah.
It looked bad in real time, and then
it didn't look like a concussion. I could have seen another injury coming from that, like maybe like a tweaked knee or something, pinched nerve, but it didn't look like it should have been a concussion hit. And that's the part. I actually wonder if he wasn't hit on an earlier play or something like that didn't get attention, and then that's like the second hit that caused the effects. And by the way, kudos to the NFL for not letting them come back in the game, because
the guy who couldn't get his wits about him, that was all jelly-legged on there, like. Anyone could have officiated, like, that dude's out.
Right, but do you remember a couple years ago in the playoffs with Cam Newton when he was playing the Saints and he got concussed and got up? It made me think of the exact same thing. Got up almost the exact same way as Patrick Mahomes did, needed to be helped up, and Cam Newton came back in that game with the Panthers. And it's only a couple years ago that happened. And I was like, this is...
Superman doesn't get concussions. There you go.
There you go. Or never mind. I was going to make another comment that was not appropriate. Oh,
I was going to say, which by the way, we needed to give you kudos on the puffy vest there. The Superman's red cape reminded me of the vest. Man.
Listen,
strong vest game. I really enjoy it.
This is often referred to as the Marty McFly Back to the Future vest. So hopefully, I've already traveled ahead, seen the outcome of these games, and I'm just telling you the results.
Pulling a nice Biff Loman here.
Yes,
I like it.
I like it as well. Go invest in Apple. Wait, oh no. Oh boy. All right, so to recap one more time, because we got to let the Papa go because it's about to be his shift. We've got the Green Bay Packers. I'm rolling with the Packers. I'm going to lay the 3.5, and I'm going to take the under 51.5. Greg, you like the Packers first half? Is that the official one that you're going with? Packers first half laying 2.5. And the next game in the Bills in Kansas City, I think we're both circling the wagons with the Buffalo Bills, taking the 3 points, and both like the under 54 in that one. Sound good? Dude, next time we do this, it's going to be, we got to have a whole prop picks ready and laid out to go for the Super Bowl. Chris Portente has been doing this research for weeks on the Super Bowl prop picks. He loves the over-under on the national anthem. So we're going to run down some of the best props for the Super Bowl, but we're not going to put the cart before the horse. Go ahead.
And we apologize. We were banging the under for the national anthem for the inauguration on Wednesday this week. We apologize for not getting that out sooner. But if there wasn't gambling on that, there should have been. I didn't actually do it, but I'd like to sprinkle some things on that. So we'll have some Gatorade picks. Coin toss.
All I'm going to say is by next year, gambling on elections, I don't know if you know, but our presidential election here in the United States was the highest wagered event of the century, I believe, so far in London. So people were placing massive bets. So political gambling will be coming. It'll be here soon. Definitely by the next presidential election.
That's just fodder telling people they got to step it up for the Super Bowl.
There you go. All right, everybody, I got to end this way because that's how we do it. For Greg Hoyle, I'm Joe Messeri. This week's edition of the Wingfoot Locks is in the books. Remember, everyone, it's not whether you win or lose. It's whether or not you cover the spread. Enjoy the championship weekend. We'll talk to you